I've got another drum library for you today, and it's faster and louder than all the others, and it's called Faster and Louder by Ugritone. I got an early pre-release copy of this from Ron, so I've had it for a little bit, even though it's brand new, but I've actually had it for a couple weeks to test out and play around with, and I think it's quite cool. This library is a collaboration between Ugritone, Mercenary Studios, and the band Midnight, who are all cool, and you should check them out. There's also a little mini documentary type thing you can see from them on how they made it. I think it's worth watching if you're interested in this and want to see the drums and the studio, because it's pretty cool. And the idea with this one is it's a little more raw, unpolished, but still high quality studio drums. And it's kind of a throwback to some of the early Ugritone stuff that was definitely in that more raw and unpolished state, but also not always great. Maybe it was a little too unpolished, too raw. The last few from Ugritone have been more modern, more polished, and I'm personally into that. I think that's great. This is more the raw side of things, but still high quality, still good sample capturing, good drums, good tuning, everything. Just not quite as processed and maybe not quite as clean and modern and polished as some of the others. They also recorded a number of drum kits for this, so there's a lot of different kit pieces to play around with and rototoms and lots of fun stuff, all in its raw and brutal glory. So let's check out my demo for this in a full mix, and then I can play you the isolated drums from that, as well as just some jamming on the kit, so you can hear how everything sounds both processed and unprocessed, and I'll tell you what I think about it. For this demo, I kept it fairly simple in terms of the processing, and if you want to see how I like to mix drums and pretty much exactly how I mixed this one, you can check out my complete guide to drum programming. It's free, it's an hour long, and it's got tons of info, but basically I mixed this demo the same way that I showed you how I mixed the drums in that demo. A little bit of EQ, saturation, compression, as needed to taste to make it sound brutal. Now these are kind of more raw drum samples, so you can push the processing further. You can do more of your own experimentation, more of your own taste, because there's a little more room for that kind of thing since they're not already super processed, which is nice. So I was able to push them a little harder with some saturation, some EQ moves. You may need to be a little heavier handed when mixing these, and if you really want something that sounds super well mixed out of the box, you can check out some of their stuff like Drums Against Humanity or the Total Studio Drums. Faster and Louder is more raw, but there's enough pre-processing done that I didn't have to spend a lot of time cutting annoying frequencies out of the drums or doing a ton of cuts here and there, more boosting where I wanted to and adding my own compression, my own saturation. So I think it's not hard to mix, but does give you the flexibility to do what you want with it. So let's check out the isolated drums from that demo with my mixing and processing on it. Lastly, let's just check out some of the raw presets with no processing whatsoever, just playing on my kit through the stock presets. You can hear how some of those sound. I don't really have any real complaints with this one. I don't think out of the box it may be as impressive as some of the others like Drums Against Humanity or the Total Studio drums. I think those sound better just out of the box with the presets. This one is going to require a little more mixing, but that's also where its strength is. It allows you to be more flexible and creative with how you're going to process them. And if you want something that sounds more raw, more DIY, a kind of more underground sound for a lot of genres, this does that too, where maybe a more modern sounding drum library would just be too clean and polished for what you're going for. I think it's rare to see these more raw drum libraries too, because I think everyone's competing to have the best mix ready sound as soon as you load up the plugin. And that's great. There's a lot of great options for that. But if you want to do things more creatively on your end, or you want to go for a more old school underground sound, then you're somewhat limited. And this is a really real sounding drum kit, whereas some of the early Ugritone stuff were raw, but they sometimes didn't sound quite coherent. They still sounded like a sample library, a drum sampler, rather than a real kit in a room. And they really captured that with this one. It's got the feel of a real kit. So if that's what you're into and that's what you're looking for, then maybe give this a shot and see if you like it. Value-wise, I think it's a good deal. The intro price right now is only $29, so you're not really going to find much else at that price that is well done with a variety of kits like this too. So yeah, it's a good price. It's a good buy, I think, if that's the sound you like and you're not looking for something that's going to just instantly be polished and not need any mixing on your tracks. But I think it's often more fun to roll your own drums and get a little flavorful with it. Now, if you do want something that's more modern and mix ready out of the box from Ugritone, Drums Against Humanity and Total Studio Drums are my top two picks. Those are also the last two that were released, so I guess it's not a surprise that they're the best, but I really like both of those. I think they're solid libraries and really well done kits, and they don't require quite as much mixing, especially Drums Against Humanity. That's got a really great modern metal sound right out of the box. That's what I've got for you today. Smash like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.